The family of Alex Jeffrey Pretti has just released a powerful statement following the murder of Pretti at the hands of Donald Trump's Border Patrol Gestapo. Alex Pretti was attending a peaceful protest in Minneapolis earlier today, where the last courageous act of his heroic life was to help a peaceful female protester who was getting brutalized by Donald Trump's Border Patrol Gestapo. Alex Pretti was attacked as he was helping this female protester by the Border Patrol Gestapo. They were pepper spraying her, then they started pepper spraying him in the face. Then Pretti was gang tackled by a group of Border Patrol Gestapo. While he was on the ground, he was repeatedly beaten. He was beaten by the Border Patrol with their weapons, and then he was shot over and over again, shot approximately 10 to 12 times. Alex Pretti was an ICU nurse at the Minneapolis VA. His entire life was defending the underdog, helping people. He was an outdoorsman, he was a dog dad, and everybody who knew Alex Pretti said what an incredible human being he was. He was the type of human being who would see a peaceful female protester getting brutalized by Trump's thugs and just try to lend a hand. I want to read for you right now the statement by Alex Pretti's family. And they've released this statement at the same time that the Trump regime is currently defaming Pretti. They are saying he is a domestic terrorist who arrived at the protest to commit a massacre. They say, why else would he have a gun in the first place? Well, there's something called a Second Amendment. He was not brandishing his gun at any of the Border Patrol Gestapo. He had a legal permit to conceal, carry a handgun. And that's what he was doing. At no time did he take his handgun out or reach for the handgun. He had a Second Amendment right to have that. He had a legal permit to have the handgun in a conceal carry position, as he did. But the Trump regime Gestapo, violating his First Amendment rights, his Second Amendment rights, gang tackled him to the ground and executed him. That is what happened. Let me read for you the statement from Pretti's family right now. This brought a tear to my eyes, and I had to record this video several times before being able to read this statement. So let me try one more time to try to get this statement out. From the family of Alex Pretti, 37 years old, died senselessly at the hands of Donald Trump's Border Patrol terrorists. Here's the statement. We are heartbroken, but also very angry. Alex was a kind-hearted soul who cared deeply for his family and friends, and also the American veterans whom he cared for as an ICU nurse at the Minneapolis VA hospital. Alex wanted to make a difference in this world. Unfortunately, he will not be with us to see his impact. I do not throw around the hero term lightly. However, his last thought and act was to protect a woman. The sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting. Alex is clearly not holding a gun when attacked by Trump's murdering and cowardly ICE thugs. He has his phone in his right hand and his empty left hand is raised above his head while trying to protect the woman ICE and Border Patrol just pushed down, all while being pepper sprayed. Please get the truth out about our son. He was a good man. I want to read for you the statement by former Vice President Kamala Harris. Her statement was powerful as well. Alex Jeffrey Pretti was an ICU nurse at a VA hospital. His life through his profession was dedicated to serving his community and our country. And so many have now seen on video his final act before he was killed by federal agents, where he was doing everything in his power to protect his community. Alex and tens of thousands of Minnesotans have boldly defended their neighborhood against the murderous occupation of an American city by the federal government. I am enraged and heartbroken for Alex, his family, Minneapolis, end America. How deeply, deeply tragic. Now let me show you what the Trump regime is doing to defame Alex, to defame Alex's family, and to defame so many. And this is a through line by this Trump regime. When they've kidnapped 5-year-olds and 2-year-olds, they blame the parents for abandoning them. When they are torturing the people in Minnesota and throughout this country, they have done this before. When they have shot other people, they blame them. They call them domestic terrorists. The real terrorists are the leaders in the Trump regime and all those others in the Trump regime as well. So let me show you what just took place in a press conference that was held, one by Greg Bavino, who leads the Border Patrol, and the other by Kristi Noem, who's the head of the Department of Homeland Security. She's the secretary for the Department of Homeland Security. They read from the same script, the dystopian authoritarian propaganda, blaming Alex Pretti and completely lying about what took place on video. I'm not going to show you the video again. I did multiple other videos about it today. But it's clear what the objective truth is when you watch the video. These Border Patrol thugs executed Alex Pretti in cold blood. They shot him over and over again. Approximately 10 to 12 times they shot and killed Alex Pretti. Watch Greg Bavino and Kristi Noem literally speak from the same script, and hat tip to Blue Georgia for putting this video together. Play this clip.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic
handgun.
The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines with ammunition in them that held dozens of rounds. He also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
More from Kristi Noem, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary. She says that what this looks like to her was a situation where Pretti arrived in order to massacre the ICE and Border Patrol officers. She said that the Border Patrol stopped a massacre from taking place. This is a complete and utter deranged lie, totally defamatory and despicable, but it's what we've come to expect from a despicable human being, a terrorist like Kristi Noem. Let's play this clip.
He also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
She then goes on to further call Alex Pretti a domestic terrorist, somebody who worked as an ICU nurse, helping and protecting our veterans every single day, someone who devoted his life to service and who was there peacefully. This is the thanks he gets from the despicable Trump regime, killing him and defaming him. But this is a dastardly, vile regime. Here, play this clip.
The White House has labeled the man who was killed in Minnesota as a domestic terrorist. Is that something you agree with? And have you seen any evidence to back up that claim?
When you perpetuate violence against a government because of ideological reasons and for reasons to resist and perpetuate violence, that is the definition of domestic terrorism. This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism. That's the facts.
Where's the evidence of his ideology, though?
True evidence of...
Next, a reporter asked Kristi Noem, well, you just made the claim that this individual posed a threat to law enforcement. And she goes, that is no claim. That is the facts. Let me be very clear, though, right now. ICE and Border Patrol is not law enforcement. They are Gestapo. They are the SS. They are terrorists. They are a paramilitary force designed to torture Americans. So don't ever call them law enforcement. Let's be clear about that. And I'll show you what Kristi Noem says, where she's like, who would ever show up to a protest having a handgun? Again, let's be very clear. Alex Pretti had a legal permit. He had a constitutional right under the First Amendment to peacefully protest and a Second Amendment constitutional right to have a handgun. He didn't brandish it. As part of his legal permit, he was concealed carrying, which is lawful, which is legal, and he was not posing a threat. It was the Trump Gestapo that seemed to have taken it from his holster, removed it, and then when he was defenseless, executed him on the ground. Let's play this clip.
You just made claims that the individual posed a threat to law enforcement.
That is no claim. It is the facts. The facts of the situation. This individual showed up to a law enforcement operation with a weapon and dozens of rounds of ammunition. He wasn't there to peacefully protest. He was there to perpetuate violence. And he was asked to show up and to continue to resist by a governor who's irresponsible and has a long history of corruption and lying. And we won't stand for it anymore. These law enforcement officers take an oath. They get up every single day and they go out to protect the public. Many of these individuals live in their communities. And this mayor and this governor have doxed them. They have allowed people to threaten them and their families and expose their identities in order to instill fear and violence. And that's not what America is about.
And that's when a reporter says, so, Kristi Noem, did he brandish a gun? Let's play this clip.
Secretary Noem, thank you so much for doing this and would welcome also any other guidance from Chief Scott. Did the 37-year-old who had a license to carry, did he brandish a gun? And at what point did law enforcement retrieve the gun and also the magazines from him? Can you offer clarity on
this individual showed up to impede a law enforcement operation and assaulted our officers. They responded according to their training and took action to defend the officer's life and those of the public around him. And I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign. This is a violent riot when you have someone showing up with weapons and are using them to assault law enforcement officers.
And then Kristi Noem goes back to what authoritarians do, their sociopathic arguments that, all we're trying to do here, all we're trying to do is get the pedophiles and sex trafficking rings out of Minnesota. Why would you want to stop us doing that? Y'all are covering up the child sex trafficking ring of Epstein. You are covering up the biggest pedo sex trafficking ring. And don't weaponize something that's so deeply serious, child sex trafficking, to carry out your authoritarian designs. We know that's what you're doing. The people aren't stupid. We get it. Here, play this clip.
Give them to us so we can get them out of our country. We are focused specifically on child pedophiles and sexual assault and trafficking rings in Minneapolis, have brought dozens and dozens of them to justice. Why is he protecting them and refusing to work with us? All he has to do is, before you let somebody out of your jail onto the streets, is give them to us so we can get them out of our country.
And finally, you have Kristi Noem over here saying that because the criminal Trump regime and the criminal rogue Trump DOJ has subpoenaed the mayor, governor, and attorney general of Minnesota to go before grand juries, that shows that they're guilty because Donald Trump's criminal regime is prosecuting and going after the leaders of the state. And again, this is a rogue, criminal, despicable regime that needs to be held accountable. Let's play this clip.
The mayor, the governor, and the attorney general have all confirmed that they have been subpoenaed to come in front of a criminal federal grand jury. So they are covering up and are being in a part of a system where they are going to be brought to justice for anything that they had to do with this investigation. They have confirmed they've been subpoenaed, and they will be in front of a grand jury to get that criminal investigation unfolding and to disclose the kind of fraud that they have allowed to happen.
And do you have any plans to leave Minneapolis?
And now we also received this video of Alex Pretti as an ICU nurse at the VA in Minneapolis. I want to share this with you. This is the type of person that Alex Pretti was. Let's play this clip.
Thanks.
Terrence Lee Randolph, March 30th, 1947, December 10th, 2024. Today we remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it. May we never forget and always remember our brothers and sisters who have served so that we may enjoy the gift of freedom. So in this moment, we remember and give thanks for their dedication and selfless service to our nation in the cause of our freedom. In this solemn hour, we render them our honor and our gratitude.
Completely and utterly despicable. I want to take a look at this as well. As Matt McDermott says, as insane as this sounds, it's true. Pam Bondi sent Minnesota officials a letter today saying ICE would leave the state if Minnesota turned over its voter files to the Trump administration. So they are openly using government-sponsored terrorism as a bargaining chip to seize election infrastructure leading to the midterms so that Trump can try to stay a dictator for life. Folks, that's what this is all about. And we need to call it out here on the MeidasTouch network. It's very difficult for me to get through that video. I did about 10 takes before where I was crying in the prior takes. We all mourn for Alex Pretti, his family, for so many in Minnesota, for so many across our country. Our heart goes out to you here at the MeidasTouch Network, and I just hope that we are doing a little bit of justice, bringing a little bit of sanity to this deranged, demented, terroristic situation. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.